These auto-approved conditions can be a game changer for your VA rating, especially if you're one of the many individuals who are discouraged from going to the doctor during your military service. Let's get into it. I'm Jordan Anderson with VA Claims Academy. You let me know if this sounds familiar. You were in the service, serving honorably, and maybe you got dinged up. You had a hard fall jumping out of a plane, maybe rappelling, and your knees hurt now, but you weren't really encouraged, let's be honest, you were not encouraged to go to sick call. There's a lot of generations, especially as you get further in the past, where the culture was, hey, you better suck it up, buttercup, rub some dirt on it, maybe take ibuprofen if it's really bad, right? And that was just how it was. Well, today things are much more, kind of how they're supposed to be in terms of if you're hurt, go to the doctor. But even today, that could still be an issue. And the problem is that when you are supposed to get these things documented, and the VA is supposed to say, hey, now's the time, you're going to get compensated for the things that you were dinged up with in service per our agreement. Now you're sitting there with no paperwork to show for it. This now is impacting your entire household's ability to get compensated because let's be honest, if you're the head of your household and you are now incapacitated to a degree where it affects your income earning potential or it affects your ability to spend the time with your kids or give to your own household, that's supposed to be taken care of. So I'm going to show you how to overcome that. This is a huge issue, and it starts with presumptive conditions as well as semi-presumptive conditions. So let's get into that. So here's a real world story that I had from one of my clients a few weeks ago. A success story that might relate to you. So when we talk about presumptive or semi-presumptive, which most people don't know about, conditions, this individual had a pretty clear picture in terms of his military service as to why he had certain conditions, maybe hand arthritis from using certain power tools with a high vibration, back pain because exercising ruck marches, road marches, things like this. But they weren't exactly outlined particularly and specifically by the VA in terms of getting granted service connection for. So he was denied over and over again in the past until thankfully he had me write some personal statement templates for him, custom. And by the way, if you want that work done by me, go ahead and click the first link in the description. And finally he was able to break through and actually receive a back pay check of $50,000. So let me show you how you can do this with presumptive and semi-presumptive conditions. First, let's get into presumptive. This is important because most veterans don't get their claims denied because the VA doesn't think that they're disabled. Most veterans get their VA claims denied because the VA won't acknowledge that it's service connected. All right, so I need you to listen to that again if you didn't get it. You don't get denied usually because the VA doesn't think you're hurt. The VA knows you're hurt. They just don't think it's service connected. So that's what we need to surgically strike and really focus on. So a presumptive condition can really help with that because what is it? It's a condition that the VA is specifically and explicitly outlining and saying, hey, if you have this condition and you served in this area or you served in this area at this time or under these conditions, then we are going to automatically assume, boom, it's service connected. All you need is the diagnosis. So a current diagnosis, meaning you've been treated pretty recently as well, right? So don't just ghost the doctor for years and then try to claim something. And then you need to show or to attest to the fact that you were in this location. What do I mean? If you were around burn pits, right? And maybe Operation Desert Shield or Desert Storm. If you were Operation Iraqi Freedom, if you were in Afghanistan, certain areas, you were exposed to burn pits, now you have chronic bronchitis, chronic sinusitis, rhinitis, any breathing conditions, COPD, asthma. The VA, through the PACT Act, can now acknowledge that, hey, you know what? They're service connected, no need for a nexus letter, which quickly is an opinion from a medical doctor saying that it's at least as likely as not that your condition is related to service. There's no need for that for presumptive conditions. So what do? If you're someone right now and you're saying, hey, I don't have any medical evidence, but I know I was exposed to some toxins during service, or we'll get into the semi-presumptives, but I know that I'm PACT Act eligible. Click one of the links in the description. I will leave a link to the PACT Act so you can check if you're PACT Act eligible. That'll be your first target. get to the doctor, get your diagnosis updated, and go do a toxic exposure screening with a VA, because that's the easiest way to get something service connected, even with no evidence. Now let's talk about semi-presumptive conditions, which a lot of vets don't even know that they can qualify for. A semi-presumptive condition is admittedly something that I've coined, okay? This is not an official VA term, but I have to give a name to something that the VA will sort of intermittently approve based on situations and sort of at their discretion. There has to be a name for it, because absolutely you can get approved for these things. So I've called them semi-presumptive conditions. Here's what I mean. If you jumped out of airplanes, if you were airborne, or maybe you were rappelling, you were air assault, there's some wear and tear that happens, right? With these jumps, these landings, this repeated impact. One of those could be bilateral knee pain, knees on both sides, your back, your lower back, your ankles, things like this. Well, the VA oftentimes, if they see the whole story that, hey, you know what? I have a great personal statement where I'm talking about these hard landings, and ever since then, yeah, I didn't go to the doctor in service. It was discouraged. They threatened me not to go to the doctor, but I've had this degenerative disc disease stemming from this. No, I don't have a nexus letter, but here's a personal statement. What do you think, VA rater? A lot of times the VA will say, hey, you know what? This makes sense, right? Or what's another example? You can have an individual who has, maybe you have feet issues, right? Flat feet, plantar fasciitis, or ankle issues, and you were in combat boots, again, doing road marches, ruck marches, whatnot. These are all real life stories that can be real life evidence where, hey, even though you don't have the medical evidence and it's not an ideal claim, it's worth throwing the Hail Mary for, because you have a compelling story. The problem is, and here's where most veterans fail with their semi-presumptive claims, is they don't tell that story properly, because they forget or just simply they don't know about submitting lay evidence. You have medical evidence, which is so important in your VA claim. You also have lay evidence, which is another huge piece of your VA claim. And if you're talking about someone who already is lacking in the medical evidence department, you guess what better be dang ironclad. That lay evidence better be good, okay? Otherwise, you really don't have a shot. That's why I'm such a huge believer in personal statements, because I see it work every single day, and I just want to scream it from rooftops. You have to be able to tell your story in a way that's concise, in a way that makes sense, and in a way that's truthful, so that the VA rater can put 2 and 2 together and give you a favorable rating. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's say now you have ringing in your ears, or you have terrible headaches, or both, right? So if that looked like me, I would say something to the fact of, you know, if you were infantryman, or if you were heavy weapons systems, or even if you qualified pretty frequently and you were shooting weapons, as you do, I would put this into a personal statement. Hey, I was shooting weapons from this state to this state, or I was constantly exposed to acoustic trauma due to my job. Ever since then, I've had this ringing in my ears. I totally acknowledge I haven't been to the doctor, but I'm getting checked out now, and I fully believe this is related to my service. Boom. You send that off, you actually have a decent shot at getting that approved. Why? Because you've articulated your story and it makes sense. Once you get that tinnitus claim approved, that opens up, you know, the floodgates, because now you have the headaches. Maybe your headaches were triggered by your tinnitus, your ringing in your ears. That's a secondary claim that you can do. We're not talking about that, you know, that's outside the scope of this video, but you can absolutely have tinnitus, which is only worth 10%, but now you add migraines onto it. Let's say it's affecting you at work. You get a 50% rating for the migraines. Let's say the migraines are giving you anxiety. You don't know when the next attack is going to come. It gives you anxiety. That on average is a 70% rating on top. You can see how very quickly just a semi-presumptive condition that you didn't even know that you qualified for because you thought you didn't have the medical evidence, some quality lay evidence can help fill the gaps in and open up the pathway to the VA rating that you deserve. Look, I really hope this helped you. If it did, make sure you hit the like button. And more importantly, share this with someone who needs it, because let me tell you, there's a lot of people who do. Sound off with your ideas and your comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video where I'm going to actually be unpacking how to win your PACT Act claim and doing a deep dive into the PACT Act for how to win that. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.